Hello and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 13th of August. I have been in meeting since the early morning today, so there has been no update until now, but then I will throw in some goodies for you with the MAG7, a very quick rundown of all the MAG7 here just around the market open in US. But first I have to say, as usual, this video is for educational purposes only. There's no advice or recommendation intended. It is purely to tell you or show you how you can apply technical analysis to your trading and to try to read the market. And remember, it carries a risk to trade and invest, and there are no guarantees and certainties. Use it as a risk measurement tool or risk management tool. Let's start with Alphabet, CCR, or Google pushing higher the past few days, and it's getting closer to its all-time high there, just above 208.70 from February early this year. I think we'll reach it possibly this week, very close to there. And as long as we stay above this rising trend line, then it seems to be clear skies ahead, and especially above 190. Amazon, well, it's a little bit depressed, as we can see here on the daily chart. This gap area here needs to be closed, meaning a close above 230.19. If it does close above, well, then it close this and we can resume uptrend. But for now, it seems a little bit depressed. We could start trying to maybe close this gap if market decides to do that. All the moving averages are still rising, so maybe buyers will come back into Amazon and push it higher. But for now, it really needs to close this gap there. Apple, bullish after breaking above and closing this gap here, first of all up to 217, and then pushing through the resistance there, 225.70, and positive sentiment on the RSI indicating likely higher levels. RSI weekly little bit below 60 threshold still, and that could be a little bit of a worry. It needs to close above 60 threshold to confirm the bullish trend, but we are in a bullish trend. If it does also close above the cloud, well, then it will be a strong signals to send them to the market. Meta had formed this triangle-like correction pattern here, but pushed higher yesterday, a new all-time highs with a potential higher. I don't know how far it could get. We can always guesstimate, but targets are really not that interesting. But if we say, okay, we can project it higher, and then we are looking 840, possibly higher to 900, but let's see. It is still early days. Still a little bit of divergence on the RSI. That is indicating trend exhaustion, but trust the trend. The trend is your friend, and as long as we stay above the lows there at 745.30, well, then bullish trend is intact. On Microsoft, also bouncing from its rising trend line there after this was the day of the earnings announcement, or the day after actually. Market opened higher, but sellers took control, so we had this bearish candle here. Didn't close below 515.53, and as long as it doesn't do that, well, then we are still in a bullish trend. Positive sentiment, no diversion actually, indicating likely higher levels, so I think it will bounce here and then could push higher here in the coming days and weeks, as long as we stay above that level 515. Nvidia, little bit long in its tooth, really stretched, as we can see. RSI declining, so strength indicator declining, but market moved higher. But you see there's a lot of dojis here, so a little bit stretched, or quite a bit stretched actually. And we can see here pre-market is setting back a little bit, but let's see the other semiconductors yesterday had fairly good day across the board, most of them at least. The Tesla, I have to say, if it breaks below, close below the rising trend line there, well, then we could see a correction down to around 171, and if it does close below 170, but 89, well, then a bearish trend has been established, but not where we are at the moment. On Tesla, broke this triangle-like pattern, symmetrical triangle-like pattern, and then we can guesstimate where it could push to based on the top to the bottom of this triangle, and then added and projected higher, and a push higher towards the 61.8 at 384 is not unlikely, maybe even 400 up here. Positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. RSI on weekly still negative because it was rejected at 60 and was below here at 40. So if it pushes higher, and we see 55 moving average coming up, so I think it will do that actually, but it needs to close above 60 threshold on the weekly. And as we can see here, it actually closed above here yesterday. So as long as we stay above the falling trend line there, then the bullish picture is intact. Looking at the overall indices and the Nasdaq 100 that pushed higher yesterday, and we are about to open now, actually, as we can see here, just around opening climb, we are pushing higher here about almost 0.5% at 138.2 projection of this correction there. 23,939, that's where we're trading at the moment, as you can see. So market is in a positive mood, pushing higher, and on weekly seems fairly strong. Positive sentiment, no divergence. There's a little bit divergence here on the daily, but again, the trend is your friend, and we can see here also on the US NAS 100 pushing higher. If we're looking at S&P 500 and jump to that, there we are, also opening higher here, and I think we will see it push higher towards 6,600. We can also add a Fibonacci to this one. It already has and did yesterday, canceling this top and reversal pattern there. So we are on course for 6,500, possibly higher, as long as we stay above 6,200. The Dow Jones index also pushing higher, about 0.5% here during the just the opener here, but 45,060 key resistance. Let's have a look at what's going on with the small caps in US and Russell 2000. Here is the Russell 2000 iShare, and it's actually testing the, or actually closed above yesterday, the peak there. Positive sentiment on the RSI, seems like we are about to push higher in the coming days and weeks. A very strong indication of that. On the on the Asian market, very strong day, 2.6% on Hang Seng, and also in the aftermarket pushed higher. RSI back above 60 threshold. I think we'll see here next few days it pushing above the peak there towards and above 26,000, and we can see it already here. Aftermarket pushing higher. Here is the CFD illustrates that. The Nikkei future setting back a little bit, almost got up to 161.8 projection here of this correction. Still positive sentiment on the RSI. Let's see if there is any divergence. Yes, there is. So a little bit of trend exhaustion, maybe a little bit of a setback, but still bullish trends. European markets pushed higher. What are we up? About 0.8% today on EuroStoxx50. If it can get push higher and close RSI above 60 threshold, well, then it has a confirmed bullish trend, and for now it seems fairly strong. Let's see what happens at 5,420. If it does close above that, then I think it also will take out the stronger resistance there at 5,467. The DAX index below this falling trend line. If it does close above it, then I think we will also take out the resistance there at 24,445, sorry. And then it could be followed by RSI closing back above 60 threshold. Well, then we could get a new high here towards 25,000. On the euro dollar, flirting with the 117, that is key at the moment. It is key to close above and now well above, so we can also drag the 60 threshold higher. I don't know if we should be happy about that, if it does it or not. But if it does, then we are looking at much higher levels, I believe, on euro dollar above 118. I think that it will go straight through it. and then push to 119 if we can get, if the RSI close above 60 threshold. Still positive sentiment on the weekly, no divergence indicating likely higher levels. And on cable, sterling dollar pushing higher here the past 36 hours or so since we talked last night, yesterday. Very close to resistance here, just below 136. RSI flirting with 60 threshold. If it does close above today, then I think we'll see it also take out that 136 and push higher towards 138. Really strong push indeed, if it can do that. If not, a little bit of setback, and then I think it will come again, because we have the 100 moving average pushing higher there, also underlying trend bullish. Euro sterling, which is quite interestingly looking from a macro point of view, that is actually sterling is being strengthened, but it is, and we have euro sterling sliding lower. 86 here, key support that could very well be tested. Let's see if it will take it out. I'll remove this one. So this region here really strong, and I think will bounce, and we could be range bound here for quite some time in an elevated level. Dollar yen, well, can't make it up its mind, can it? No. Spiked above, well above the 200 moving average, and now it's actually declining, so it's holding it down, and we have the 55 coming up there. So despite the fact that the RSI is actually in a positive sentiment, well, it can't really get its mojo together or traction to with a push towards 149. Can still do it, so I think we'll be range bound here between 146.60 and 149 in this region here for quite some time. Euro yen pushing higher, touched the 786 retracement this morning, just around 173 and a few cents, a few pips. Setting back, could see a little bit of a setback. RSI got rejected at 60 threshold, but we are already in a positive sentiment, despite the fact that there is some divergence, so that's why it's struggling a little bit. But if it takes out the peak from today, then I think we'll see a push higher, also taking out at this high here, or peak here at 173.93. Aussie yen rejected also 786 retracement, setting back a little bit. RSI also got rejected here at 60 threshold, despite the fact we have positive sentiment, but there is a little bit of divergence. RSI, if it closes above 60 threshold, then I think it will also take out the resistance here at 93.30-40 area, where there's some stronger resistance. The sterling yen spiked second day in a row, above 200 and then back, and I actually think we will see a little bit of a setback after this spike there, because it's really such a significant level. It actually goes back to, I think it's February earlier this year. We can really quickly have a look at that. Yes, it was actually October last year, so about a year ago. That's where we're up here, and now we're trying again. So really strong resistance in this region here. I could set it back before the next push, but I think if it takes out the peak today, which is around 200 spot 30, well, then I think we'll see it could be really a strong push towards 202. Aussie dollar, if it's hiding a little bit at the moment here, so let's see. Oh, there we are. Spiked higher above the 61.8 retracement today. Can it get higher? I think it will eventually. If it takes out the spike here today, then I think it will also push higher towards the 66 and 66 and a quarter, and especially if RSI can close above 60 threshold. But it's really struggling a little bit, but we are above the cloud. We are above 55 moving hours. I think we will push higher. On dollar Canada, according to the RSI, to the strength indicator, which is actually in positive sentiment, it should push higher. However, we have the 100 moving average coming down there, kind of pushing it lower. So that will be a bit of a struggle to push higher here. If it takes out 137.20 to the downside, then down trend or bearish trend has resumed, will likely push down to 136. So keep an eye on that. Could still try to get up there, but for now it seems a little bit depressed really, and could slide lower. Sterling Canada, Really strong move lately. Push above a resistance at 186.50 just straight through, and I think we'll reach the 786 retracement at 187 possibly later today. RSI positive sentiment, no divergence. It seems like we are a really strong move. I think we'll get up there and then a little bit of setback and then next move pushing higher. Euro-Swiss stalling here, but still bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI. But let's see here. I mean, we have some strong resistance in the region around 94, 40, 50. That could be too strong to penetrate. However, we have the 21 moving average coming up there, 55 also up, and 100 maybe turning around. So let's see. But this is really a bit of a resistance, but it should do it. If it slides back below the 200 moving average, then I think we'll see it sliding back even further down to around 93, 60, 70 area, but still positive sentiment. Dollar Swiss. Oops, let's just do that. Dollar Swiss, well, couldn't get all the way up there despite the fact it also has a positive sentiment on the RSI. If it takes out, and especially closing below the 80 level, then I think we'll see it going straight through the 786 retracement and down to the 79 area here again. For it really to establish a bullish trend, first take is to take out the 81.35 spike up there with a push higher. RSI is telling us that, but 100 moving average will put a lid on it there. Same picture on dollar index, more or less. You can see now we have actually the dollar index pushing below the 786 retracement there, 97.54, spiking below. Still RSI positive sentiment, but looks have you see lower low, lower high, and lower low. It needs to get back above 98.50 to establish at least a short-term bullish counter trend or counter move. On the metals and commodities, we have the gold. Gold's bouncing a little bit here from just above the cloud after spiking below 50% of this uptrend, retracement of this uptrend there. RSI is still positive sentiment, but it got rejected as sexy threshold. That means we need to break above and close above this 3,410 spike up there. Didn't get all the way up there, so it needs to get back up there for a bullish trend to resume. If that scenario plays out, well, then we'll look at the 3,500, I believe, fairly shortly. It could be really strong move. We are above the 55, 100 is rising, giving some support, so I think it's just about a time, question of time. However, if it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then we could suddenly be looking at 3,300. Silver breaking higher as we speak above the resistance area here at 38.25.30 after bouncing from the 37.50 support, and that is the support. If you're bullish or you think silver should be higher, it should not break below that level. It seems like we're on course for another push, and if RSI gets back above 60 threshold, well, we could get higher fairly shortly. So let's see about that. Platinum can't really make up its mind, still humming away sideways there, spiking a little bit above resistance and then back. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but for platinum really to push higher, first of all, need a close above 1357 and above the falling trend line, and really to get its mojo and push higher, a close above 60 threshold on the RSI is required. But let's see. I still think that it will bounce, and the next step could be 1400. And again, this is not a recommendation or advice whatsoever. Copper, well, it's bouncing slightly, isn't it? 464.60, strong resistance where we also have the 200 moving average. I think we could crawl up to there, and then I think we'll see being set back. Let's see if it can close above 465, then I think we could see a push up to 495. Next strong resistance. Support here at 433. On the energy market, well, energy markets sliding lower. trading around to $63, could slide lower here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a counter trend here, maybe a little bit of a bounce, but we can see 100 moving average declining, 21 declining. We are in a bearish trend, negative sentiment. Seems like we are to slide lower here in the coming weeks towards the 60 level. Brent crude oil also here testing the lows here from last week. If it takes out these lows here, well, then we are looking at lower levels, possibly down to around 62.5 area. European nat gas, well, European nat gas slowly working lower. You see lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and possibly lower high. We are not really there yet, I think. You see just above it, but if it takes out that 31.90, well, then we could be looking at 31.30, possibly lower. US nat gas testing the support here at 276. It comes all the way from last year here, and could push lower if it takes out 275. Well, then we are looking at 256, 250. Moving on to yields and the US 10-year Treasury yields. That's bounced to the 38.2 retracement at 4.31 and then set back. If it takes out 4.20, downside to 4.12 is in the picture. RSI negative, indicating lower levels, and we can also see most of the moving areas declining here. So and we are below the cloud, so I think we'll see it pushing lower in the coming days and weeks. Quite interestingly, and a little bit of surprise given the inflation numbers coming up. However, let's move on to the Euro 10-year yields. Spiked above and closed above 272. You see it spiked above lots of times, but yesterday it actually closed above. So we actually established a bullish trend here with lower highs. You can see lower highs all the way, and now also lower lows. Sorry, now I'm babbling. Higher lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, and now also a higher high. So we are actually we have established a bullish trend. If it does close above 277, it will be further confirmed with much higher levels to follow. Positive sentiment on the RSI indicating likely higher levels, but there's a little bit of divergence. You see the levels here. RSI are declining, where the market moves higher. So a little bit fragile bullish trend, but nevertheless it's there. The UK 10-year basically sideways, is still this wide range here, spiked higher yesterday to done it before to the 786 retracement, 465, and then set back. So that would be key. I'll remove this one because it needs to get above this 470 to really establish a bullish trend, which I don't think they would like very much. The Bitcoin spiked high here a few days ago and then sat back, and now trying to recover some of the positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels. And I think we will see a test of the previous all-time highs here around 123,231 fairly shortly. All-time highs we get almost daily in the Ethereum there, pushing higher above 4,700 and is looking at 48 and maybe even 4,900. We already reached 200% of this correction there, so I think we'll see it pushing higher fairly shortly towards the 4,900 level. All right, that's all for today, and I hope that you enjoyed this longer video, and happy charting, and talk to you again tomorrow.